In that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow, for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have two. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did? You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
The parents who are in here, how many of you think your kids would actually pass this test? Huh? Yeah, Lisa, you think your kids? Yeah, not all of them, but we won't name who. Okay? How many of you guys, if you were a kid, as a kid, you think you would have passed this test? Oh, couple of you guys. Oh yeah, Jonah and Aaron for sure, right? Okay. How many of you guys you think if we did it right now would pass this test? Okay, yeah, some of you guys? Okay, but for most of you guys say, I don't think I would pass this test. Okay? Today, well, you're in luck because it seems like a lot of you guys need self-control. And we'll be talking about self-control today. Okay? This is the last of our Spirit of Fruit series that we've been working on. And some people joke around and say, yeah, it figures self-control is the last fruit because, like none of us have self-control. So we'll be talking about self-control. So what is self-control? Well, self-control literally is what? You control yourself. It's really interesting because, as you guys know, we just had Independence Day. And so we're talking about, we're like blowing things up and we have fireworks. Why? Because we're celebrating what? Freedom, right? Independence from the British, from the force outside. So it's really interesting that we blow things up to celebrate our independence, but a lot of times we're actually enslaved to a lot of our impulses, our feelings, our emotions, addictions. And so, on the one hand, we're blowing things up saying, yay, we have freedom. And yet, a lot of times in our lives, we actually are enslaved to a lot of different things. We really don't have self-control. Well, anyways, not to make you more depressed about your life, let's get into it, okay? Because there's going to be a person named Paul, and he had amazing self-control. Okay, he's one of those people. He's like, top 5 or 6 most influential people in the history of the world. And so you go, oh, hey, this guy, he was a church planter, he was a pastor, and he basically built up the Christian church. And you go, how did this guy do this? Where did he get this self-control? Well, let's get into it. Talks about it. Verse 1. All who takes part in the games train hard. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. So he likens life to what? To games. Well, he's not talking about just like video games and such not. What he's talking about? He's talking about the Olympics. He's talking about the Pan-Hellenic Games that was going on back then, right? Because it was the Greeks that really started the Olympics, right? So he's basically saying, hey, self-control, it's kind of like us if we were in Olympic Games. Okay, well, how do Olympians train? Do you guys know who this guy is? Okay, he's the GOAT. Okay, so his name is Michael Phelps, if you don't know. He's an American swimmer, and he just won he won like billion medals. And so imagine his life. Okay, imagine the self-control that he takes. Do you think he's eating ice cream at night? Yes, he is. Yeah, maybe he is. Okay. Well, he doesn't need to eat a lot. Okay. Do you think he's just going to parties and taking breaks? No, I mean, imagine the type of lifestyle that it takes for him to do this. Okay. So there was an interview done, not with him, but his trainer. And he basically says, forget holidays, independence, doesn't matter. Okay? You don't take no days off. Okay? He did not take any days off from the day he started swimming when he was 7 years old. Okay? 7 years old. Christmas, swimming. Halloween, not eating candy, not going out, swimming. All he did was swim, 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 swim. So again, that's what Paul is likening self-control to. He's saying, hey, do you think you could just do whatever you want? No, that's not self-control. Self-control is what Olympians do, where not just one part of your life is affected, but no, every single part of your life is affected by this. Everything is affected by this self-control. Now, when we get to, I'll give you 2 different views on how people normally think of self-control. Okay? One hand, self-control is the traditional way. And actually, a lot of us, when we think about self-control, this is how we actually think about self-control, which is this. The Greeks, back in the day, they said, the body is bad. The body is low. And the spirit, or the mind, that's enlightening. That's the good thing. That's good. And the body is evil. By the way, that's why, do you guys know that we're affected by that? And that's why the more you study, we think is actually better. It's smarter. And the people who are doing manual work, that's evil. That's low work. You don't want that. Again, that's from Greek philosophy. Anyways, going back. So what did they say? They basically said, hey, you have all of these emotions. You have all these feelings. But that's from the body. Don't you understand? You have to get rid of the feelings. You have to get rid of the emotions. Why? Because that's for the weaklings. Again, you see these, right? You see somebody crying, stop being a cry baby. Why? Because emotions, feelings, bad. You need to grow up. You need to be adult. You need to be stoic. Okay, so what did they say? They said, hey, maybe you want to become an Olympian in your work, in your family, in your community. You want to be great. But you have all these feelings. You have all of these emotions. You have all of these impulses. The Greek philosopher said, get over it. Suppress them. Throw them away. Empty them of all your desires. And just your will, just grind it out. Be a man about it. That's how most of us, I think, in this room, that's how we think of self-control. Is just, you have all of these different impulses, but just stop them, just get over them, and just grind it, and just go on. Okay, so that's one view. On the modern view, though, we come to this idea of self-control, or this, get rid of your emotions. And a lot of us, we look at that, the advertisement, the media, they say, no. They say, hey, emotions are not the problem. It's actually the cure in your life. Forget self-control. Forget suppression. Do whatever you want. Okay? Actualize yourself. The reason why you're not happy is not because you're not trying hard enough. The reason why you're not happy is because you're not letting your emotions go. You're not living by your emotions, but instead you're suppressing them. So you see, on the one hand, the Greeks are saying, forget emotions. On the other hand, the modern people now, we say, emotion. It's all about emotions. Best example of this is shown by, if you guys watch Star Trek, the best example of this is Spock, which is the Greek philosophy. I do not know feelings, right? It's not about feelings. It's not about emotions, Captain. We only have to do things that are rational, that are logical, the will. And then we have another character. His name is Data. And all he talks about is feelings, emotion. Talk. Okay? So again, we have these two sides. What does Paul actually have to say about this? Okay, is it this? Is that where Paul is saying self-control comes? Or do we just say, hey, forget self-control. We're going to find ourselves if we just let go and just hold on to the emotions we have and live by the emotions. Where do we go? Okay, where's Paul lying on this? He says this. Paul says, if you look at the body, okay, what God actually tells us is in both cases, whether in this case or this case, they look at body as separate. They look at the mind and the heart as separate things. But actually, what Paul is saying here is the Bible actually tells us that the body and mind are not separate things. Okay, they're actually holistic. They're actually one thing. Okay, what does that mean for us? And why is this important? This is important because we have to understand our will, our emotion, everything that comes, will and emotion, are both actually coming from one source. Now, the Bible uses this source, okay, this one thing. It's not a separate, again, this is not a separate thing. This is not a head and heart thing, but it's one thing. And in the Bible, it actually uses the word heart. Now, immediately, for us as modern people, when we think of heart, we think of emotions only. But the Bible did not use heart as just the emotions. Okay? So it uses phrases like this. It uses phrases like, think with your heart. Okay? Or act with your heart. So what does it say? The Bible actually tells us mind and will, these are not separate things, or heart and mind, these are not separate things. No, these are actually the same thing. It comes from one thing, which is our ultimate desire. Okay, if you're not getting it, don't worry. I'll explain a little bit more. Let me read you a quote first. So he's basically gonna say the same thing. In the Bible, the heart is the seat of the mind, will, and emotion. Again, it's not two separate things. It's not three separate things. The Bible says, no, it's holistic. It's all one thing. Okay? They're all together. So, whatever captures the heart's trust and love also controls the feelings and the behavior. So what the Bible is actually telling us is that these are not separate things. You have will, and you have emotion, and you just have to fight it. No, no, no. What the Bible is actually saying is whatever you trust the most, whatever you love the most in your life, out of that will come the will, the feeling, and the emotions as well. What the heart most want the mind finds reasonable. The emotion find valuable. And the will finds doable. So, summary, what is it saying? It's basically saying, whatever you love the most in your life, you're going to find the will, the emotion, and the mind to do it. That's what the Bible teaches us. These are not separate things. These are not, oh, I really want to do this thing, but my emotions keep going. No, no, no. It's not saying that. Okay? Instead, it's saying, if you understand what the ultimate thing is in your life, then you will find the mind, emotions, and the will to do that. Now, you might be thinking, but Pastor, what are you talking about? I find my mind, I know that I need to do one thing, but my emotions go this way all the time. Well, you know why we have that problem? I have that problem, by the way, too. And that's why we don't have self-control. The reason why that is because we are always mixing up what is the most important thing in our lives. Okay? We are always disordered. So, St. Augustine, who is a long time ago, philosopher, long time ago, Christian, he said this. He said, sin, therefore, is disordered heart or disordered loves in our life. So, for example, let's say I really want to eat ice cream. That's one desire on one hand. And some of you guys who know me, you know the struggle is real when it comes to ice cream. Okay. So there's that one desire. I really, really want ice cream. I really love ice cream. But it's not just that's the emotion and my mind is somewhere else. No, no, no. There is another desire in your heart, which is I want to be healthy. I want six-pack. Huh? So I have two desires with me. It's not will versus emotions. It's not mind over... No, 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 no. There is two different desires within me. And what's happening? I have two desires within me, but my desire for ice cream is greater, always greater, always greater than my desire for health. And so what happens? Even though there is desire within me, which is what? I want to become healthy, my desire for ice cream is greater. And that's why I have no emotions, no mind, no will to actually do it. Does that make sense? So what it actually tells us, what the Bible tells us, what St. Augustine tells us, what Paul tells us is we have a lot of different desires within our body, within our hearts. So how do we get self-control? If you want self-control, you have to put whatever it is, whatever your desire is, put that at the top of your list. Okay? And so self-control really is reorganizing your desires, reprioritizing your desires. Whatever is on the top of your list, whatever you're doing right now, whether you know it or not, okay, whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, you're doing those things. Why? Because that is at the top of your list. So if you want self-control, Paul says, Augustine says, we have to reorder our desires. Not our emotions, not our will. No, we have to reprioritize what the ultimate thing, what's the most important thing in our life is. So, how do you know what it is? Well, think about what you do, okay, for most of your days. What are you spending your time on the most? What are you spending your most time, your money on? Okay, If you're not doing anything when you have free time, what are you thinking about the most? Most likely, that is your greatest thing. And that's why, again, some of you guys say, yeah, I know family, family is so important for me. I know family is so important for me. And yet, you don't have any time for your family. You're always working. Why? Because even though you're saying family is the most important thing, no. Career, money, status is actually maybe more important for you. And that's why you don't have the time. That's why you don't have the emotions for it. Okay? What the Bible tells us is no. If you realize what the most important thing, the ultimate thing is in your life is, then you will have self-control. Okay, so therefore, self-control, what is it? It is to hold tightly to what is the most important thing in your life. What's the most supreme thing? Okay? Now, let's see what he says. All who take part in the games train hard. They do it to get the crown. Okay, and again, the crown is that desire, the ultimate desire we have in our hearts. But they do it to get a crown that will not last. But we, he's talking to Christians, we, Christians, and if you're not Christian, no problem, but we, Christians, do it to get a crown that will last forever. Okay. Why is this important? Because if you look back then, okay, about 2,000 years ago, when they had those Olympic Games, when they had those Hellenic Games, the Greek Games, they literally, what did they get? They didn't get a medal. What did they get? They got a garland. A garland is a crown that's made of leaves. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? But literally, what is Paul talking about? Paul is basically saying, you know those garland you get? Literally, in a week or two, what happens? They fade away. They rot, right? You ladies, you guys got them flowers before. Really nice, really pretty. But what happened? They fade away. They fall. They crumble. So what is Paul saying? Paul is saying, hey, what is your ultimate thing in life? What's your ultimate thing in life? And is that going to last? Is your ultimate thing going to last? And Paul is saying, no, it's not going to. It's never going to last. You think it's going to last. You think it's going to make you feel good. Yeah, it will. But it's never going to last. Do you have a hard time with self-control? I do. Do you know why? It's because we place things, the ultimate thing, as the thing that never lasts. And that's why it's always unstable. That's why it's always like this. And that's why we have never self-control. Because it's always doing this. It's always shaky. It's never lasting. Whether it's romance, okay? Even if you find the perfect person, what happens? People get older. People get sick. People die. What happens to our money in the bank? Stock prices go up, stock prices go down. What happens to our careers? In the end, we have to retire. So what happens? Again, I was looking at these Olympians, and one of the biggest thing they struggle, do you know what it is? It is, what do I do with my life now? Right? That's the biggest thing for these Olympians. Why? Because they won the medal. They got it. They got money. They got success. They got status. But now what? What do I do? What do I do with my life? Some of you guys who watch NBA, sad news for Warriors fans, sorry Brian, is that this really awesome NBA player, second greatest, left. His name is Kevin Durant. And one of the things, again, in interviews, they kept talking about is he won the championship. But again, it was not enough. It was never enough. It's like, I want something more. There's got to be something else. Again, what are they saying? They're basically saying, hey, we did everything. We reorganized our life all around this crown. But it doesn't last. And so you see these athletes, chiseled body, right? Great life. But what happens if they quit? What happens if they stop? They get all fat. Why? Because their self-control was based on something that did not last. Again, what is your ultimate thing? Is it going to last? Is it going to hold you up? If you lean your body against it, your whole life against it, will it hold up? Paul says, nope. So he says, my crown is something that will last forever. My crown, my hope, my joy, my prize, my ultimate thing in life has to be God. Because that's the only thing that's going to last. God is the only thing, only person that will not change. His love, His security will never fade. My salvation in Him, not going away. No matter what I do, not fading. Continues on. A huge, there was another verse. I think I forgot to put it. Okay, can you guys go to your Bible, if you have it? I forgot to put it in there. So it's 1 Corinthians 9. And I'm going to read 25 and 26, okay? 1 Corinthians 9, verse 25, 26. Sorry, I didn't put it there. So I'm going to read 25, 26, 27, okay? Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but an imperishable. So we just read that. 26, 27. So I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. Okay, so what is Paul talking about? Is Paul saying, okay, just because I put the ultimate thing as the first thing in my life, or God as the ultimate thing in my life, I'm all done, everything's okay? No, he doesn't say that. He says what? This takes tremendous effort. This takes tremendous training. This takes tremendous discipline. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, I think it's really easy for us as Christians, if you are Christians, it's really easy for us to think, okay, if I just have one cool experience in my life, like for example, I'm not saying Julie will say this, but I see a lot of people who are saying, okay, I just need to go to a mission field and just have a really cool experience. Then, all of a sudden, my heart will realize that God is the greatest thing and I will place God at the ultimate thing in my life. Okay? Or I hear a lot of people saying, I hear a lot of people who don't believe in God say something like this. All I need is, I'm just going to pray for one thing. And I just need God to just answer my prayer. Just show one miracle in my life. Then, my life, all of a sudden, I'm going to be all dandy and all good. Again, we pray for a miracle. We pray for magic. We pray for God just one moment, right? And that's why I think there's good thing about testimony and bad thing. And a lot of us, we heard testimonies where you go, you like this person like drinking and having drugs and like partying it out. And then like all of a sudden, one cool experience and guys, all of a sudden, God took everything away, just like that. And again, I'm not discounting that, but that's actually the exception. Okay, you don't see a lot. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I thought, God, all I want is like Paul's experience. You guys know Paul's experience where, like, he's just like an enemy of God. He hates God. He doesn't want anything to do with God. And he's walking to another place, and all of a sudden, right, road to Damascus, he's enlightened, and he's like, I love God now. But what we don't realize is, do you guys know that Paul didn't start evangelizing right away? He actually took 5 years in the desert to study. What I'm basically trying to say is, we think of God as just this magical genie, and we just go, boom, I'm going to have self-control now. Oh, yeah, Good sermon, Pastor. Now I'm going to pray this prayer. God, make you the first thing in my life. Oh, all right, that didn't happen. No. What is Paul saying? Paul is saying, like an Olympian, this is everyday thing. Like an Olympian just say, all right, for 1 hour, Michael Phelps, for 1 hour, I'm going to swim really, really hard for an hour. No, he's not saying that. He's saying, I don't aim. I don't box aimlessly. I don't just punch in the air. No, there's a specific, deliberate, intentional time that I take to discipline. So what am I trying to say? All of you guys right now, you guys might think, hey, Pastor, great sermon. I realize, yeah, I need to put God at the ultimate thing. Great. But what I'm trying to tell you is this has to be an everyday thing. Because our hearts, we're always shuffling. Okay? Even after the sermon, you're going to be like, yeah, I know, Pastor. You can go outside, it's going to be shuffling. This has to be an everyday thing. And Paul is saying this takes work. This is incredibly hard. It is not easy. But I have to continue to strive to hold on to God as the ultimate thing in my life. Okay. Now you guys say, okay, Pastor, I don't want to, I know maybe God is the most important thing, but I just don't have the will. I don't have the emotions. Where do I get the power to actually do this? It takes tremendous work. It takes tremendous effort. Paul says this in Hebrews. A huge crowd of witnesses is all around us. So let us throw off everything that stands in our way. Let us throw off any sin that holds on to us so tightly. Let us keep running the race marked out for us. So again, he's likening it. Again, same, sports, right? Race, marathon. It's not a sprint. He's saying life is a marathon. You got to keep running every single day. It's going to hurt. But here comes the motivation. Let us keep looking to Jesus. Okay, so do I just pray? No. Let's continue on. Look at this. He is the author of faith. He also makes it perfect. He paid no attention to the shame of the cross. He suffered there because of the joy he was looking forward to. What is Jesus saying here? Okay, or what is Paul saying? Paul is saying, okay, do you not have motivation? Do you not want to put God at the center of your life or the top of your list? Okay, that's fine, because we all feel like that. Okay, the answer is not within you anyways. What's the answer then? Look to Jesus. Why? Because he ran. And he ran well. He ran from heaven to earth. And he ran as a human being. And he ran, his race actually led him all the way to the cross. Do you think it was easy? No, it was not easy at all. It was very, very difficult. What Paul is saying is, do you want self-control? Do you know what it means to hold the ultimate thing in your life? Look at Jesus. Why? Because he did it. He did it through pain. He did it through mockery. He did it through ridicule. He did it through whipping. He did it even onto the cross. When he is dying on the cross, he had self-control. He said, I have the ultimate thing. He says, why? He suffered there because of the ultimate thing, because of the joy, the biggest desire in my life. Which was it? What was it? Was it the glory of God? Was it so that he could be glorified? Well, he had that in heaven. Was it for the love of God? Like he wanted to hear, my son, well done. No. Jesus heard that even before he died on the cross. He heard it while he was being baptized. What is it that he was looking after? What was it? What was his ultimate joy? What is it that he did not have in heaven? You and I. His ultimate thing was you and I. Why is he dying on the cross? Because of you and I. Okay? Do you think it was just, no, forget the emotion, this hurts? No, it was, this is for Gideon. Okay? This is for you. This is for me. He had you in mind as the ultimate thing. It's the ultimate joy. It's the ultimate treasure. It's the ultimate crown. He's saying, I'm running for this. Even though it's hard, even though it's difficult, even though I want to save myself, I'm going to put you and I. He's going to put humanity. He's going to put Gideon at the ultimate thing in his life. And again, when we realize that this is the God that we serve, this is the God that we worship, this is the God that we sing to, this is the God who's saying, follow me, then we go, oh, we are at the ultimate part. We are the supreme thing in your life. I want to have you as the supreme thing in my life as well. Let me just end with this. Tim Keller, he says it, same thing. Jesus took the crown of thorns that you and I deserve for the way in which we ran. We were disqualified, but we took the crown of thorns. So when we believe in him, we get the crown of life, his running of the race earned. Do you want self-control? Do you want to place God at the ultimate thing in your life? You got to hold on to this. You got to believe in this. You got to meditate on this. Okay? Like Sana said, mindfulness. It takes intention. You have to hold this. You don't just say, God, help me do this, bye. No, you got to say, Jesus, is this you? Is this the ultimate thing that you had in your life? Make it the ultimate thing in my life. As we go into time of reflection, okay, not emptiness, not just quiet time, but holding on to this, believing this. God, help me to truly, truly believe this in my heart and to place you at the top of my list so that I can have self-control in my life. Let's go into time of reflection.